Welcome back to the Marbles number 5 restoration. So today, what are we going to do today? So today we are going to finish up cleaning up this damaged pole. So what's the damage we're looking at? So remember from last video we had the mushrooming. We all took care of all of that, but we can see if you look up there close, let me zoom in here, you can see all the hammer marks, all the indentations from where this has been slightly damaged by a hammer. We're going to fix that. We're going to clean up those edges so we get a nice clean line on there, and hopefully if we do it right, we won't even be able to tell that this was not original. So after that, we'll go in there and finish all this up. You know, the more I look at this, the closer we look at it, it's in really good condition. It's got a few file marks back in here. We can get rid of, focus please, there we go. We can get rid of some of those, and then we'll hold off on the edge. We're not going to do that. That'll be one of the last things we do because we don't want to handle that razor sharp axe while we're doing the handle. And then we'll get to work right on the handle, which is going to be tricky with this little deal here. But a couple of suggestions that I've got from you guys, from subscribers, things that I hadn't thought of, they're going to make a big difference. I'll share those suggestions, and they may or may not work, but we'll try them and we'll see. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this thing all cleaned up. So I want to come correct on something that I have been doing wrong, and I just, I had never thought about it. I know that I had been taught, the right way to do this. This is something that I've always done and was doing it incorrectly, and those of you guys with a lot of experience have pointed this out, and that is in reference to referring to filing, or the card, file card. So the teeth you see in a file are cut. Let's bring you in here. If we look at the file, they're cut at angles like this. See how it goes across there like that? So when you're when you're trying to clean out your file, going this way is not very helpful. What you want to do is go this way, and as you can feel it, as the teeth in the file card go, they want to follow the direction of that file, and that is the best way to do it, right here. Another thing I was really excited about is I was contacted by one of my subscribers who does, I think he said he's a jeweler, and he uses files and used them for a long time, and in his apprenticeship he was taught how to sharpen a file, and I'm going to be doing some stuff on that too. I'm kind of looking into that. I've never done it before, but I think it looks pretty simple, and you'll be surprised if you're, or I was surprised on what that method was. But look right there, you can see here all of the dust there, the material. So that's the way we want to file. So we got our file ready. So let's go to work on the pole. Nice to have those aluminum clamps or jaws in there. That makes life so much better. So we got some pretty big nicks right there. We've got some scratching on the back. This can be kind of tricky because we have kind of a radius. We have I guess you'd call it a convex shape right there and a flat file. So if we don't keep our file moving and are really diligent about that, we can file flat spots in it. So we're going to look at the polish on the file, and that's going to tell us here really quickly of what we're looking at here. So I'm rotating the file, always moving it, just like when you're sanding, doing auto body work, or buffing, you're always moving, or belt sander, perfect example. You don't want it to stop. You always want it to be going. And right there, now that's really starting to show us what we have right here. You can see we've got some dents and some deep gouges. Now, good axes that are hand-forged axes. My Grand Force Brooks, as I mentioned, is a perfect example of that. They're really asymmetrical in the pole, and what that shows to me, that's not a machine-made tool. It's a handmade tool. So just because we have some imperfections in it, it's okay. That's nothing wrong with that. Now it's going to be much easier to file away from me here. I'm not going to work on this. We'll leave this one alone, and then we'll flip the axe head over, and then we'll work on that. But we're just going along here and really rotating that file on 2 axes. Watching how it cuts. What a nice file right there. What we don't want those facets, facet like a gemstone would have, where that flat surface refracts light. We want it to be round. And that's why we're going this way and this way at the same time. It's a skill, but it's a skill that can be easily learned. And I'm going to go in here and just keep going here until I get all of those out. Keep your file clean. Makes a big difference. You can feel when the file needs cleaned. Here's the benefit. Remember look at all the shavings. Look at that. Can you see that on my finger? Oh, well, there we go. How well that file cuts. Nice to have when you're making these jaws, to have them really spread over the top of your vise, because, you know, I'm working my file on here and it just protects everything. So I'll file with the front, and when I feel that start to load up, I'll use the back end of the file. You know, you utilize everything. You get four shots at it before you need to card it. Almost done there. Look how simple that is. How easy. What a great file that is. What a great file. Now we're nearly done. We've got that portion, a little split right there I can see that I want to work out. Just watch it disappear. See, we have a nick right there. That's all right. I'm not going to worry about that. To get that nick out, we'd have to take a lot of material off. So just to see a couple more spots here. That looks really nice. So we'll flip it over here. Oh, that's looking really good. This is definitely the worst side. I'm going to put that a little bit of an angle, so it just makes my work a little simpler. That really dives off there. This is certainly the worst side. So we've just about got it. We're going to roll this around here, make everything as symmetrical as possible. We got a little chip out of there, a little kind of a chunk out of there we may not get to, but that's okay. So something that came up in the comments, and always does, restoring these old tools, are from people, and I think primarily their background is in the antiquing. There was actually one fellow that was a museum curator, and or suggesting that it was wrong, or taking the value away of the tool by removing the patina, or even removing the mushrooming, which would, kind of indicate or be a demonstration of the history of the tool. And maybe so if you're talking about Egyptian artifacts or articles of great antiquity. We're not talking about that here. I think I don't think that's a valid argument, because this is a value. I mean, of course, these things have a value. The value is important, but I think what's more important to me is to have a tool, is to use it. These were meant to be used, and they're not. I mean, they're not so valuable. They're not so rare that we need to just hang them on a shelf and never use them. So that that thing with the patina, I'm not restoring these things for profit, or to try to, as my dad puts it, cut a fat hog on making money on them. I'm genuinely interested in using them and making them, bringing them up to the best condition I can, and I think that's what's more important than just putting something on the shelf. I reject that argument with when we're talking about axes and tools like that. Boy, that's looking good, huh? That's looking really nice. There's got a little crack right there. Maybe you can see that. What I'm finding with this file is actually clean it with my finger. Running my hands across it is quite a bit quicker. It seems to work just as good as the file card. Now I'm really happy with what I see right here. This is the type part that takes the skill. This is going to take the light touch, and this is building this dome shape, this radius, and getting rid of all of the flat facets from the file. And we're going to do that by a light touch and really keeping the file in motion and rolling it. It's important. I've got a really bright light over my right hand shoulder, and that is so I can see the light refracting, is that right word? Refracting off those flat spots, and I can adjust my file accordingly. But this is really turning out nice here. We have a good file. We have a comfortable stance. I've set the work at a level that's easy and comfortable for me to work in. And that is just about perfect. Look at that. That is really nice. We'll do a close-up here. So I can see that this is just the way I want it. Let's hit that last side right there. I can see, you can probably see some flat spots or some facets in there. We'll take care of that right now. A light touch. Remember, this is something anyone can do. Don't be intimidated by this. Oops, I want to do that. And the light touch also is going to take out some of those file marks. You know, we're not done here. We're going to not leave it, this rough file. We'll put the stone on it. But, oh, that looks good. Let's take a close look at it. Isn't that nice? See how we was really careful. We have a nice dome shape there. See how those points came together? Yeah, you know, we had some more damage on this corner up here, and this drops down a little bit. But I'm not going to take that whole thing down there to match it. That's just part of the charm. But what we're looking at is where those, where those edges come together like that. Nice and clean. Little dark spot right there where I quit filing, but that's okay. That is nice. That looks really good. I'm really happy with that. So let's take our stones now and clean that up and get rid of those file marks. I think we're really going to have something here. So for the benefit of all you gentle souls that were so disturbed with me using saliva on a stone, I don't want to offend. Put a little simple green there. A little soap and water is fine. Gonna go round and round. You know, we don't want to cut this way with a file, but with a stone, that's preferable. Keep it moving. Don't want flat spots. Got a nice slurry going there. Slurry, that's good. It assists in the polishing of the steel, having it basically making like a very fine paste. When it starts to get to dry and feels a little bit muddy, put some more on there. All right, let's take our shop towel and see. I'm going to do that until all of those file marks are out of there. Oh, that looks good, doesn't it? That looks good. Now we can switch over to our medium. That we started with our coarse. We're going to go with our medium. Do the same thing. Much soft, much smoother. I could just feel it immediately. Not near as coarse. That first stone is pretty coarse. Pretty coarse. And this one's going to be medium. I can see it polishing, much less slurry. You can see that we don't have all of that muddy slurry like we did with the coarse stone, because the stone is smoother and less material is going to come off of it. And then finally we're going to finish up with our superfine. Superfine. Oh, that's nice. Smooth as smooth. Feels smooth as glass. Now, it shouldn't take very long with your superfine here before you really have something. Let's take a look at that. Bring you in here. So, most people, I think, are going to be pretty content with that, and that's a nice finish right there. But if you want to take it to the next level, there's no easy way around it. It's elbow grease and using metal polish. So, Let's do that. We'll do it because just I want to show you what's possible. So if you really want to put a nice finish on it, then what I'll do is I'll use a metal polish or chrome polish or rubbing compound. What it is they come in all different grits. You can get them at most auto body stores, and something like this would pretty much last you your whole life. And it's a paste. You know, it's not unlike a car wax. Car wax is essentially the same thing. Car wax is a very fine version of it, but it'll have an abrasive in it. I've even heard some people say they can use toothpaste. It's going to need stirring up a little bit. Toothpaste has got an abrasive in it that's also good for polishing. There's lots of commercially available compounds out there, but something you probably ought to have. And you can just see here, and on a nice, I really like these microfiber cloth. Get it on there, and we can polish now. We can polish all of those stone marks out of there. Now there is no way to rush this. It's just, it takes time. It's a labor of love, but you can do it. Put on your favorite Wranglerstar video, pick one of the long ones, maybe 2 long ones, and sit down in your shop or wherever and settle in for the long haul. So let's take a look at our rebuilt pole. Would you ever know it wasn't that was repaired? Hard to say. Not too bad, huh? Really turned out nice. Got most of the scratches out of it. It's going to be a beautiful little axe, isn't it? Kind of looking forward to this handle. Looking forward to trying a couple different maybe techniques that I had never thought of before. Boy, that is neat. This is really a special little axe. Got a whole bunch of requests asking if this was for sale when it was all done, and I'm sorry to say it wasn't. It's not. It's the only one I have, and chances are I'll probably never come across another one. Isn't that pretty, though? That turned out good? All right, well, I'll keep polishing here, and this next time, we'll get started on the handle. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next video. It's Friday morning on the homestead. Unseasonably cool, beautiful day. I really do enjoy this weather. I like it when it's cool enough where you can go outside and work in the shop with a wool shirt. No bugs, no heat, no sweat. It's very nice. Received some questions from a couple of you that ask, I'm setting up a home shop, or I'm thinking about, starting to get some tools together. What's the first thing you would get? And I thought about that, and I think, well, I know. I'm not talking about hand tools, the things that you probably already have, screwdrivers and wrenches and that type of thing. I'm talking about your shop tools. And the first thing that I would buy would be a good vise. And there's some really good old ones out there. They're getting harder to come by, and oftentimes the sellers, they know what they've got. I see routinely good American-made turn-of-the-century vices, 5.5 inch or so. I wouldn't get anything smaller than that for around, like $200, even $300. But if they're not worn out, they're not all used up, then that's a good value. But I was looking on Amazon today here, and there is a great deal right now, and I don't know how long it'll last. And this is essentially the same vise here that I have. It's the Wilton Tradesman. Mine is branded by Snap-on, but I'm sure 99% sure it's made by Wilton. But this is a wonderful vise, USA made, and it's a great deal. I was looking, as I was going around looking for soft jaws and different things, I came across it. I thought, boy, that's a good deal. $389. It's $251 off a list. So if you don't have a good vise, or considering making the investment, boy, this is where you want to spend your money. You really want to get yourself a good vise. You can cut corners on a lot of different things. I was recently asked, how come not everything in your Amazon store at WranglerMart.com is American made? Well, some things are important to have the best you can get. Vices for one, boots, things like that. But there's other things, woodworking tools and small tools that overseas produced, it's just fine. But I'm going to put that over there, so you can go to wranglermart.com, check out that vise. And I'm also going to drop in, I found those soft aluminum vise jaw pads here. And I think they're like ranked 12 or 13 bucks here. And that, you know, I mean, if you don't have time or the desire to make your own, and you want to restore tools or have something that's not going to mar your work, that's a really good option. And I'll also throw in the vise category, I really like these, the rubber soft jaws that you see me use. They have magnets on the back that holds them in place, and those are super, super nice for really delicate work, and I'll put those 3 in there. But I thought I'd share that with you. It was such a great deal. Drop it in the store. I don't know how long they're going to last, but boy, if you don't have one or you've been sitting on the fence of getting a good vise, I would jump on it, because I've used a lot of them, and as far as I'm concerned, the Wilton vises are top notch. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.